question by Matt, another person. Buddha said, one and the only thing that I teach is human suffering and the path to end it. What's the origin of the human suffering? Fundamentally speaking, because we left our hometown, our home. So that home is visualized by the circle image. One and the only way we can live in a happy, in perfect happiness and freedom, which is perpetual and indestructible, is to realize and dwell in our true home, our original nature. What is the path? Threefold practice. As Allison gave a very good presentation, cultivation of spirit, cultivation of wisdom, and choice in action, mindful conduct. These threefold paths are the way to discover and dwell in our true home. That's why we always chant Il Sang vow. This is our vow, our life goal, as we studied last week. In that sense, whether it's chanting Il Sang vow, studying spiritual cultivation, or threefold practice, is very, very practical. It's not necessarily the Buddhist thing. As long as we would like to live in perfect state of happiness and freedom, each and every person, whether they are Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, atheist, we have to walk on that path. Our third head Dharma master said, each and every different spiritual tradition expressed it in a different way. The path to Buddhahood is always one and the same. That's the threefold practice. So we are going to study today the first one, spiritual cultivation. Some years ago in Korea, there was a bestseller. The book's title is Absorption, Morley Absorption. It's written by some scientist, one professor at the engineering department of Seoul National University. It's based on his experience. When he was young, he discovered he is very good at concentration. That's why he had a PhD degree very easily at MIT. And he could really have the talent to be absorbed in something. In that deeply absorbed state of mind, he discovered many. He solved a lot of some mathematical formula that has been unsolved for decades, or he achieved many patents. That continued for like 15 or 20 years. But there was a problem. After 20 years, his mind started to become very unstable. Just like Newton or Descartes, John Nash, a person with a great mind, his mind started to become very disturbed, very disturbed. He could concentrate, but when he's off work, he was not comfortable. His mind feels like on fire. So he felt like, in this way, I may go crazy, literally go insane. Do you know what he did? He's not spiritual or religious person at all. He started to play tennis before going home. Every day, almost every day, 1 hour. What he discovered was his mind became very empowered and far more focused after that exercise. In older days, he thought it's a waste of time working out. So he could more deeply absorb in his research. He's not a spiritual person, but his action, his experience tells a lot from the perspective of spiritual cultivation. Why he felt like his mind go crazy? Very simple. He used his mind too much. He did not stop his thinking mind. Have you seen the movie Beautiful Mind? John Nash's story, mathematical economist. Many parts of the are really a true story. A person with a great mind sometimes could not stop their thinking. That's the comic symptom of manic patients. Think about the life of Van Gogh. He started to paint after his mid-30s. Day in, day out, year in, year out, he just painted all day long. That's why he go crazy. Spiritual cultivation is the translation of 정신 수양. 정신 means spirit. 수양, it's translated as cultivation or nurturing. Su, the Chinese character, literally means clean out, wipe out. Think about that. There is a lot of dirt on the window. Clean out, that is a su. Yang means nurturing or cultivating. Our founding master said, why? Have you ever heard my dog has insomnia? Or my cat has some indigestion problem? Animals rarely have that kind of a problem. They live very naturally. But our founding master said, because people, we humans, since we are spiritual and intelligent, we tend to know more. We tend to try to attain something more. That is the nature of a human mind, especially in this contemporary society. Do you know the Korean expression of many thoughts? Many thoughts. For example, I told you a billion times. It's just the English expression. I didn't literally tell something 1 million times. It's almost impossible. Korean expression for many thoughts is 5만 가지 생각. 생각 means thoughts. 5만 가지, it literally means 50,000 times. 50,000 thoughts, many thoughts in Korean way. Scientists studied how many thoughts regular people have, generally speaking, in one day. It is not 50,000 thoughts. They say it's 70,000 thoughts arising in the city in one day. Why we have a dream? Dream is a visual manifestation of our thoughts. Even when you sleep, you still are thinking. That's why we need a spiritual cultivation. Stop our thinking mind. Our mind many times are like a vehicle, which has a gas pedal, but not brake. That car will eventually cause a problem, traffic accident. The engine will be on fire in someday. So our founding master called it, it's a nervous breakdown, nervous. To a little degree, to a certain degree on a daily basis, a weekly basis at home, in many human relationships at work, we experience that kind of a thing. That's why Buddha said, this world is on fire. Your mind is on fire. Fire sermon, one of the most well-known Dharma talk delivered by the Buddha. Many people try to save their money. That's why they try to save their time. That's why. But as Allison said, we need to save our mental and spiritual energy. Very important. That's why we start this class with a 30-minute meditation. That's very fruitful. It does not matter you have a lot of wandering thought during that period. At least our mind become independent from seeing, hearing, touching, etc. Every day, right after meditation, I shave my beard with some electric shaver. Once in a day, it needs to be recharged. Otherwise, it becomes very weak. It takes more time to shave my beard. Many people's mind in modern society are the electric shaver, which lost its power. It's not working. That's why people tend to be upset, too much sensitive, vulnerable. It is not their personality, not necessarily. It is not because we are bad people. Many times, we don't have a space in our mind. We are mentally too tired. That's why we tend to lose anger, lose our temper, vent our anger, etc. Our third head Dharma master, when he's resting after dinner, he stayed in his room with the electric light off. It is not because he would like to save the electric bill. It's to save his mental and spiritual energy. When our mind is exposed to seeing, hearing, touching, thinking, particularly thinking, etc., the energy, the chi become depleted. It's drained. Venerable Desa, our third head Dharma master, one day asked, Do you know there are two kinds of thief in this world? Small thief and the greater thief. Can you guess who is a small thief? What or who is a big thief? Small thief is the regular thief. They steal your stuff. That can be your money. That can be your car. That can be your mechanical pencil. Venerable Desan said, big thief is the one that steals your mind. How our original mind is stolen? Because we see too much. We hear too much. We think too much. Especially, we talk too much. Do you know why we these days wear a mask? Because of in this corona situation? My teacher told it is not protecting the virus. It's a very superficial reason. The universe tells us we need to talk less. That's why we need to wear masks. Even Buddhas or Jesus took rest on a regular basis. Rest is very, very important. The real, authentic rest. It's not like talking with other people, going to the movie to refresh ourselves. The real mental vacation, like meditation or more exercise. Exercise is very important, working out for spiritual cultivation. That's why one of the 10 Commandments is observe the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. From one perspective, what is the origin of the dukkha, of the suffering? We can express or we can view in this way. We have not met our true self. We are not in a very good relationship with our original mind. By talking less, by singing less, by thinking less, we need to encounter our real, true, authentic self. If we try to be away, free from all this distraction and cultivate our mind, what's revealed very automatically is a very, very beautiful and joyful world. Meditation is not a stress reduction technique. We all know the first American astronaut is Neil Armstrong, who went to the moon, who actually walked on the moon. In the airspace, he was very excited how beautiful the moon would be. The yellow full moon, it's amazing, the crescent moon, full moon. When he actually landed on the moon, it's just the rocks, dust. It's just a gray area. Do you know what he discovered at the moon? He discovered our blue planet. That's really, really beautiful. He didn't realize he has lived for his whole life in that beautiful, wonderful world. When he tried to be free from too much seeing, too much hearing, too much knowing, thinking, then that world will be revealed. And at this very moment, we can enjoy each and every moment of our life. So lastly, especially women become 50 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, particularly in Korea, many females experience osteoporosis, very weakened bone. They are very much worried about, and they take a lot of medication from this or that type of a vitamin or some specially prescribed. The bone came to have many holes inside, so it becomes easily broken when we are old. It's understandable. They are worried about that. But the thing they are really are concerned is our weakened mind, not the weakened bone, weakened mind. As Pat said, you know what? When your mind becomes purified and empowered, it's very easy for you to overcome any kind of addiction. There are a lot of skillful ways to be free from all sorts of addiction. One of the fundamental approaches is when your mind becomes purified and empowered, you can overcome all those things very easily. So I would like to stop here. So let's have some good conversation. Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, so coming back together, I'm wondering from Allison, Desi, James group, is there anything that you can share with us that was interesting, insightful?
We shared, each of us shared what resonated with us from Reverend Yu's talk. And so Allison shared about the concept of the big thief and the idea that, you know, we allow thinking too much is we allow that to steal our minds and take us away from our original nature. And I know Desi talked about giving our six sense organs a rest, and artfully shared about thinking about how we control our ports of entry and what we allow to come into our mind. And we can really practice liberating our mind by being mindful about what we allow in and what we don't allow in. I really resonated with developing a relationship with oneself, with our original mind, and the concept of purifying and empowering our mind to overcome any challenge or addiction that we face. And then we ended talking about the concept of like mindful consumption, about aside from interacting with other people, it's also about thinking about the sensory conditions that we allow independently in ourselves to influence our state of peace, state of being, such as electronics or television or radio or other distractions that take us away from cultivating our spirit. Anything I missed, Desi or Allison, feel free to share. But thank you for the conversation, both of you.
Okay, thank you for that. And Brenda and Matt, Patty, Steve's group, is there anyone who'd like to share from that group? Matt Ginter? Okay.
Hi there. Actually, I was hunting. I can't find the passage. We were talking about like healthy and not emotions that are healthy and emotions that are unhealthy, but rather like the degree in which an emotion becomes healthy or unhealthy. I was trying to find somewhere in the scriptures it discusses where Pausan passes away. I think it's Pausan, and Master Sote-san is very sad about this because they were close. But I can't find that passage. So that's what I've been hunting while we got back.
I just want to say that Steve said something just as we were clicking out of the rooms. And we didn't really get to finish commenting on that. So I'm going to ask if Steve could take that last line that he said about the three. Go ahead.
The threefold study, and it was around what Matt was talking about it, and the way I was processing it is that the founding master, many of us could, or let's put it, in our human condition, we lose a close friend, we lose a family member, it could consume us, okay, and through a severe attachment. I respect and acknowledge that the founding master developed lifelong relationships and deep relationships with others, but I firmly believe that he was able to, at some level, keep it in perspective and be able to view it as it was. The fact that we go through birth, aging, illness, or birth, illness, aging, and death. So we're going through the seasons, but also from the fact that, going back to the core of the threefold practice, especially this week, being able to cultivate his mind to be able to settle it and then move on to wisdom and choice and action, and to be able to keep this loss that he suffered of a close personal friend in perspective.
Thank you for sharing that. I had once heard a story from Ataonim, who was the first person who translated the scriptures into English. That's the first version. And she shared a story where she was there when one of Master Sotasan's disciple passed away. And Sotasan was crying and she was shocked. She was also okay. For some reason, she thought if you're totally enlightened, you don't have any emotions. But what she realized is that, there is sadness, but as Steve was pointing out, it wasn't, it was able to express it, but not have it overconsumed that you couldn't do anything else. But definitely, Master Sotasan was not a rock. He definitely has emotions, and he expressed it. And I think that's being human, like being the most human way possible. Great. And how about Christine's group, Isabel or Matt?
Matthew talking?
No, you go ahead.
No, I was going to say that we were all just kind of celebrating our blessings for being in this class and for having found Won Buddhism and how clear the practice is, and how much easier to follow than anything else we found before, and how wonderful the One Dharma Center is for all of us. And so we were just really enjoying it and sharing our experiences of it. And maybe Matthew has something more to say.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say was that we were remarking on the presentations, but also the presenters and their journey, and identifying with that. You know, I was sharing sort of my experience as well, like how I came to Won Buddhism, and how wonderful it is, and how it's so helpful. And then also, yeah, we were talking about how well the class is put together. Yeah. So that's all I have.
Oh, thanks so much for that, Matt and Isabel. And I think the other Matt, our other Matt, Ginter over there. Yeah, if you want to add something.
I'm sorry, but I finally found that passage. The spelling was funny. There's a comma in there. But it is chapter 9, Sending the Spirits in Transition, number 28. And it says, when Kim Kwang-sun, which is Pao Sun, entered Nirvana, the founding master shedded tears and addressed the congregation. Pao Sun and I formed an indescribable affection for one another while sharing joy and suffering together for over 20 years. And I was wondering, maybe one of the ministers would know, is that the same Pao Sun that in our additional scriptures was helping the founding master, like he had donated rice so that the master could develop his practice? I don't remember the location. It was, I think, in a rural temple setting.
Yes, it's the same person, the same person.
That was what I was going to say. Yes.
Is that also the Pao Sun that's the reason we have the beads, because he was illiterate but just very devout? No.
That person was very learned person. That's not for him.
Okay. Well, Reverend, can you just close it off for us today for our session?
Well, when you would like to become physically healthy, you make a decision. For example, I will work out on a daily basis, or I will play tennis twice in a week, etc. I will be on a diet or on a healthy food. Likewise, if you'd like to have attain the freedom of mind, if you'd like to cultivate, nurture your mind, you have to make a decision as well. Decision. For example, Dalai Lama is a very old, busy person. He's very busy. Do you know how many hours he practiced sitting meditation in average? He told to the reporters 4 hours. Before breakfast, 2 hours. After dinner, 2 hours before retiring to bed. So we need to practice meditation at least, I think, 40 minutes. Okay. Or we have to practice meditation, but walking meditation, chanting meditation, bowing meditation, whatever kinds of. And I emphasize physical exercise is a very important way to meditate. According to the statistic, 51% of the executive women in America played sports when they were in college. That's very significant. They need. So this is very well-known analogy. One novice monk who was always complaining in the monastery visited, met his teacher. The teacher would like to give him a lesson. So he said, why don't you bring 1 bucket of salt and 1 bucket of water, and you can follow me. They were they reached to the lake. And the master said, why don't you put one handful of salt inside a cup and drink it? And the novices said, after drinking the salty water, wow, it's very salty. The master said, why don't you put one handful salt inside that bucket? The bucket is a little bigger, full of water. Why don't you drink some of the water? He said, it's not that salty, but still salty. And the master said, throw all the salt inside the lake and then drink 1 cup of water. The novice, after throwing away all the salt and drink the water from the lake, he said, it's not salty at all. We cannot always complaining our environment, external conditions. When the size, the capacity of our mind can be 1 cup of water or 1 big bucket, or it can be the size of the salt. Then in the same situation, when our mind becomes empowered, then we can stay centered and enjoy our life. So this is the story that I heard from one of the minister at the One Institute. Okay, have a good night.
Good night, everyone. It's time for your mental vacation. Bye.
Yeah.